Welcome to episode 665 of the Aussie Tech Heads, recorded on the 6th of February 2020. Kia ora and happy Waitangi Day to all the Kiwi listeners. Aussie Tech Heads is brought to you by startnewcompany.com.au. Register your company fast, easy and direct with ASIC. All documentation is provided and held in your account for downloading at any time. If you're an accountant or other professional, you're also able to brand all documents with your company name. Coming soon, ABN, TFN and trusts. Special discount for ATH listeners. At the cart, use ATH20 for a $20 discount. And athwebhosting.com.au. Servers operate on SSD drives. Immediate activation, SSL certificates, Aussie support, domain registration, and easy install of WordPress, Joomla, and Drupal. I'm your host, Jason Oakley, and I'm joined this week by Will Tompkinson. How you doing?
Hey, mate. How are you?
Good. Drupal, huh? I think that's the first time I've said that.
Drupal. That's because you spelled
always
it
been
wrong.
Drew Powell.
Droopy the dog?
Ever since Glenn said that he had somebody who was reading out stuff one time and said Drew Powell, and ever since then it's been like WordPress Joomla and Drew Powell.
That sounds better. They need to rename it. That's what it should be called for now.
Drew Powell.
Drew Powell.
Drew PayPal.
Lawsuit.
Hi to all the Kiwis.
Yes, it's that time of year and everyone gets out the hungies. Oh, I love hungies. They're so yummy. I don't know why it works so well.
Parky, how are you?
You just get a whole...
Come over and get our hungies. At least I'm half Kiwi. What's your excuse?
I know a lot of Kiwis.
There you go. We're not talking about a fruit here, you understand?
No, I used to live near Inala, and it's a big Kiwi community there, and we actually... There was actually a Pacific Islander general store, and they had hungy. You could go in and order it for like a lunch menu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was great. It was like $8 or $9, but it was a massive, like the really big China, like you go and get like a family thing from the deli or whatever.
Yeah.
It was one of those for like $8. You could hardly eat it. It was brilliant.
You got to go back again, man.
I used to go there all the time. Apparently they're still there. I just don't live over that way anymore.
Oh, all right.
But there's our local Drake's does, I can't think of the name of the brand, but there's a New Zealand brand of pies.
Yep.
And they do the normal pies, and they do, steak and kidney and whatever, and they do they do a fish pie.
Yep.
And they do a hungy pie.
Oh, wow.
And it is so yummy.
I'll have to try that next time I'm up that way.
They're really good.
You have to show me to these places of wonder and amazement and taste bud delight.
Supermarket.
Bing. We have the machine that goes bing.
Why do we have that? I don't know.
How things been going anyway? A little bit cooler. And we had some wet stuff coming out of the sky all over the place.
I saw this thing coming out of the sky. Yeah, it was... we've had a lot of rain the last couple of days. Monday was just atrocious heat-wise. Like the humidity and the heat was just... You would move and you'd be exhausted. You'd move 3 foot and you were done,
Yep.
But yeah, then it's obviously cooled down a bit in the last couple of days. We've actually had a decent amount of rain. Like it's actually squishy outside now.
Yeah, we're going back to about level 2 water restrictions instead of 4 and a bit, which we were heading.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot of places that gave up on water restrictions. They just didn't have any water at all to restrict.
Yep.
So there's there's been a bit of that, but Brisbane's been having localised flooding today.
It can't win. It's one extreme or the other, isn't it?
Fires and drought.
Can't just pick somewhere in the middle, son.
Welcome to Queensland. It's nuts.
Man.
But yeah, no, my boy broke his arm yesterday, so that was fun.
No.
So he's in a cast and
playground.
We don't really know. He fell over 3 times in fairly close succession. We don't know which one of them was the culprit.
Science experiment. That's the way you find out. You try it and see what happens.
Pretty much.
Science.
It was a bit like that, but it was odd. Yeah, we don't know which one of those actually
caused it.
So I'm just trying to find a picture of it here. So see if I can find one quickly. Yeah, we don't know which one it was that actually caused it, but oh, that's interesting. It's decided that it doesn't
The little Mr. T.
Wanna?
Hello up
Whoa.
there. What are
What's,
you doing up there in the top corner?
why has that screen capture decided to not be a screen capture anymore?
Because we're doing it live for once. We haven't mentioned that yet.
Yeah, that'd be why.
Streaming in all the places, and so something's got to break.
We are, yeah, we're streaming on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook, and hopefully it'll be a regular occurrence now because got it all set up and it's,
You can chat in the Discords too.
yeah, Discord. I set up an Aussie Tech Heads Discord channel.
And you said something in Twitter too, didn't you?
Trying to get I've got to get Glenn to do that. He's got to add me as a admin to Twitter so I can do that. But yeah, so it's all happening. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out why it's not seeing. Why it's not.
There's probably other stuff you want to capture later on during the show, right?
Yeah, it'd be handy. It's one of those things that you usually assume is going to work because it worked when I tested it last night. And I haven't.
You know what happens when you assume?
Yes, it doesn't work anymore.
That's right.
So the screen will probably go black for a minute, but I'm sure you can survive.
Yep.
But yeah, so I don't. So he did that, and then so he just got over having the flu and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And then he decided to break his arm. So
Did they have to cast it?
Yeah, it is in a cast at the moment.
Bet that'd be annoying.
Well, it's like a 3/4 cast sort of thing.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Look at that poor fella there. He's not happy.
Yeah, so it's got like it's not like 100% wrap around, but it's pretty close.
Wouldn't you? I thought you would have done a 3D printed one.
Make a cast protector for it.
Yeah.
Well,
they make the whole cast now with the lattice type style. So your skin doesn't sweat or anything. It's in a lattice style, but it holds your arm stiff.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I remember when I broke my arm, I had a sorry, I'm just setting it up now because on all three captures apparently it's forgotten how to do it. I remember when I broke my arm, I had to do I had a fiberglass cast.
Oh, so that's where he gets it from.
I beat him by like 2 years.
Hey, that's not nice. Don't beat your kids.
I think I was. Sorry, he beat me by like 2 years. He's just gone 4. I think I was 6 when I did my arm the first time. So
how'd you do that?
The first time I fell off a slippery slide. The bottom of a slippery slide.
Keep going.
The part that's right at the bottom when you're finished and you're sitting on the bit at the bottom that's this far above the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fell off that.
Idiot.
And the second time I broke my arm roller skating.
Oh, no.
I actually re-broke the same break. Yeah, I was 12 months later. We went roller skating and I went from the transition from the roller skating rink onto the carpet and they had those little strip things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, I just went backwards and compression fractured and, re-broke the same break. So that was fun.
I haven't actually broken any of my bones anywhere. My sister did, though. She broke her arm. It's quite funny now because the road that goes past my house is the one we used to go down on the way to primary school every day on our push bikes. Dad's up the top of the hill, and I didn't know that I'd be buying a house that we've ridden past on our push bikes and seen nearly every day of our lives. I ended up buying a house there, but I think it was straight across the road from where I am actually, where she did it. And what I used to do is when we go, because you're going down the hill having fun, so I'd go up into people's driveway just a little bit and then jump off the gutter and then back onto the road and then jump off the next gutter and do all the way down. So she's like, I can do that too. Here we go. Whoop. Oh, crash. Ow, 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 ow. Quick, let's get back home. Broken arm.
That sounds about right.
Don't copy your brother.
Not if you can't do it.
Nope.
The things you do as a kid and get away with, and then you do something that shouldn't be a problem and that kills you. It's like,
yes. Now my age is like, why did I do that? My back. Oh, my back. Oh, that's not good.
No, that's it. And looks like
I just twisted a little bit sideways when I went to pick up. No, it's gone.
Yeah. So Osmo has just joined us in YouTube because I know he watches our YouTube video because he said so. One of the people who left us feedback, which was cool.
Jolly good show. What? Hello.
So,
Rise and shine. We should probably give him some news to listen to then.
I suppose it's about. We've been going for 10 minutes already, so that's about right, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, we're live again, Osmo.
Live
To
again.
have you aboard.
We're
Tell
real.
your friends.
We're real people.
Click that like button. Hit that notification bell.
Smash that
Mr. T's gone out of
subscribe.
focus. Wait, come back. Back to us. There he is. You went a bit blurry there for a second.
No, that was actually just me. I was getting excited. I was vibrating really fast.
What do you think of his Linux thoughts?
Dear. Yeah, I'll get to that later.
Alrighty. Time for news. Warning, warning. If you use Google Takeout to download an archive of your Google photo content, there's a chance someone else may have ended up with your videos. So I hope you haven't got any of those naked selfies or anything worse than that on your Google Photos, because it's out there and probably end up on that Pornhub thing soon. The company admitted that for a few days in November last year, some videos in Google Photos were exported to unrelated users' archives. This means that not only could your videos have ended up on a stranger's computer, but also that you may have received random videos belonging to someone else. Google is not making much of the technical issue, which it says has now been resolved. But the company apologizes for the inconvenience that may have been caused for people downloading their Google Photos archive between November 21 and 25, 2019. In a statement given by Google, the company says the problem affected less than 0.01% of users. Now, if you Google with the number of users you have, 0.01 sounds tiny, but that's if you're Aussie Tech Heads listener. If you're Google, there's probably thousands and thousands of people.
Oh, and then some.
We're notifying people about a bug that may have affected users who use Google Takeout to export their Google Photos content. These users may have received either an incomplete archive or videos, but not photos. That would not. I think photos would have been better. Google, serious. Videos. We fixed the underlying issue and have conducted an in-depth analysis to help prevent this from ever happening again. We are very, very sorry and stuff.
I just like the fact that there's a thing in there saying that, unfortunately, John Overhyde was tweeting this and is like, to be clear, it's a big screw up. I hope the number of affected parties is small. And I just said, it's not a small number. But then when Google's media department was asked for clarification, he was told, unfortunately, we're not able to provide a full list of impacted videos. I don't think that's what he meant when he asked for clarification. He didn't want you to prove that you'd done it. He wanted to know. Oh. And then the next line is, because the videos are now stored on other people's computers, there's no obvious way of getting them back.
Well, that's what the cloud is. It's really just other people's computers, but it's supposed to be your secure spot on other people's computers.
Yeah, that's right. They just missed a step.
Yeah. Well, it's Google. They're so big, it's okay to make a little mistake.
Do we know?
Every now and then.
I guess you could work out how many YouTube channels there are to give you a rough idea. How many Google subscribers? I guess. Let's see what it comes up with. They're probably not going to... Well, how many Gmail addresses would do it?
Let's just say you should be happy to hear this. YouTube ads generated $15 billion in revenue last year alone.
Yeah, they do. Nobody else got it.
Nope.
There's about 1.5 billion active Gmail address. What's a billion? 9 zeros, isn't it?
So 0.01.
So
you take off a couple of those zeros there.
Yeah. So it's still 900 million users or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Whatever it is.
That's bloody ridiculous.
No, 90. No, hang on. No. What did we say?
Anything over 9 is going to be a bad number, Mr. T.
1.5 billion. So yeah, so it's going to be what? 150 million or something like that. Yeah, that's a couple.
Too much. That's too much.
That's a couple. But
we know what kind of things people take their personal photos and videos of. We just won't go there, which I already did anyway.
Selfies. So something that we're as podcasters we're somewhat interested in. Best video conferencing services. They tested Zoom, WebEx, AnyMeeting, Slack, and a couple others. Now we use Zoom.
I didn't even know Slack does video.
Apparently,
it's the first I heard of it.
So we use Zoom, which is free. But if you have more than 2 people, it times out after like 40 minutes. And then it's relatively cheap. The Aussie Tech Heads as a whole, we have a one subscription that because we don't broadcast at the same time, we can get away with. But after a successful IPO in 2019, Zoom solidified its status as one of the leaders in the video conferencing industry. Its conferencing software allows simple one-on-one chat sessions that can escalate into group calls, training sessions, and webinars for internal and external audiences, global video meetings with up to 1,000 participants, and as many as 49 HD videos on screen simultaneously.
And you know what the good thing about Zoom is above all the others? It works.
It works. It has good video, it has good audio. It broadcasts by default in widescreen.
We learned that switching from that other thing, and then suddenly Jason's like, "Whew, out here."
Yeah. And you can you can send somebody a web link and they can start it straight from a browser, or you can actually install the app, which is what I have for you. I have you on the actual app because it does full screen nicer and does a couple other things a little bit nicer. And the free tier allows unlimited one-on-one meetings and then limit group session to 40 minutes and 100 participants. But it's $15 a month for the basic one, and it's pretty decent. There's one called Blue Jeans. Now I had actually tried to get this to work as a free trial when we were testing different things to use, and I had no success at all making this work. I couldn't even get it to see my cameras. Which, to be fair, something you may need to be wary of if you're using a broadcasting software. Like I'm using OBS, or there's Wirecast or VidBlaster, or there's a few of them. OBS is probably the best in terms of it's free, it's powerful, it's lightweight, it does what it's supposed to do.
It's supported well.
But some of these, they either don't work in a particular browser, or they don't work with a particular broadcast package. So finding one that works for you may be a little bit tricky. Another reason we stuck with Zoom, because it just seems to work with absolutely everything you throw at it.
I got sick of having to start up different browsers just to be able to capture stuff. Like, is it working there? No, black screen. Okay, how about that? No. All right, I'll install Okay, it's working with Opera, but I've got other stuff in other browsers.
That's it. Billing itself as a meeting platform for the modern workplace, Blue Jeans is a video conferencing solution that focuses on instant connections. So it's the same sort of thing. It's a little different insofar as they're dearer. Their basic package is $20 a month, and I think the basic package is like times out after an hour or something like that. Like it has a limit or something. I can't remember. There's something weird about the way their packages are set up.
Forget that then. Next.
Oh, that's right. The other thing is they'll billed annually, so they had a monthly plan, but it was billed annually. So as far as I'm concerned, that's called an annual plan. But anyway.
Yeah.
Microsoft Teams. Now,
yes.
I know a lot of corporations that use it. I have set them up for a couple of companies, and the reason they use it is it supports Office 365 Live, obviously, because it's Microsoft, so you can share that sort of stuff straight away. The other thing it does is Microsoft actually have a really good conference camera. They have two. The original one was a camera on a gimbal, and it could actually turn and you could talk to somebody directly and point the camera at them. And the new one they have is actually a 360 camera. So you can sit around a table and it supports that, and it breaks. You can either see it as like one panoramic picture, or it actually breaks up and identifies each person who's sitting there and puts them all into their own separate window. So
nice.
You only need one camera, and you can have like 20 people sitting around that one camera, and it recognizes all of them. So it's pretty cool. GoToMeeting, it's fallen out of favor, I think, with Log Me In. Like, it's just getting too expensive for what it is. It's Citrix. Originally started off as Citrix. Originally, or they helped develop it, but don't know. Just haven't been a fan. It seems GoToMeeting recently seems to be very bloated. Even for their desktop sharing stuff, I've gone away from them recently. I just haven't been a big fan of them. Zoho Meeting. I think this is another one that we tried and could not get to work with OBS broadcasting. It is a Mac-based one, or with PC and Mac, but like the actual app part of it, it's not a browser-based. It actually requires a program, which can be a good thing because it's dedicated. Can be a downfall because you've got to get somebody to install a program. Cisco, Webex.
It's been around forever.
Oh, it's been around since '95.
Whoa.
Yeah. Though I started that technology in '95, was acquired, but became Cisco in 2007. The one thing I could not get it to do, it worked perfectly fine. I had no problems with it. The free version supports up to 3 people as well. The problem I could not get it to work with, I could not get it to go widescreen because it said our internet wasn't fast enough, no matter what we did. So that was annoying.
Well, obviously it is because we got widescreen right now, right?
Yeah. So Join Me is an offshoot of the Log Me In. It's a collab one, so it's like a free. Anybody can go to that link and join in your conversation. So it's not really locked down in any way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Google Hangouts used to be the creme de la creme. It was fantastic, and then
all went to crap.
We've tried it several times since, and it either doesn't work in Chrome, ironically, or it doesn't support OBS, or it doesn't support the microphone, or it crashes after 5 minutes, or the audio goes screwy, or the video messes up.
All of the above.
Just lately, it has not been fun. Intermedia is a commercial grade one designed for, it's like a video version of a PBX system. Slack, which I wasn't aware worked on Windows. I thought Slack only, it works under Chrome now. Well, there you go. It used to only be Linux based.
From a Slack web from a Chrome browser, Firefox browser.
Yeah, it works with Chrome now, apparently. Actually, Chrome's the only supported browser it works with now.
Well, I'm on there every day. I just go to the slack.com, log in, and I'm talking to people in my Firefox browser. It's not an extension; it's just a website.
According to them, to their own review, it only works under Chrome. So, whatever.
Oh well, I guess I've just been imagining it. I'll have to get off those drugs.
You know what it is? You've got compatibility mode set to Chrome, don't you? That's what it is.
No doubt. Osmo says there was a update from Microsoft for Windows because one of the patches they brought out stopped Windows from booting up. The only way to fix it was to reinstall the OS. They also had a patch from a couple of weeks ago, which was to fix a security hole, and then that one broke.
Created.
That one broke backgrounds on some computers. It would come up blank with just a black screen instead of having the person's background, and people were a bit upset they didn't have their little boy or their so we got a bit cranky. So Microsoft rolled out a quick patch for that, and now this is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't want to have to reinstall the operating system just to fix your computer.
How can you stop a boot? Like, how far into the operating system is this file digging?
Must be one of the first things that happened.
You know, like, it's just...
It's autoexec.bat, isn't it?
Yeah.
They broke autoexec.bat finally after all these years.
Config.sys. They're trying to load the wrong CD-ROM driver.
Don't swear at me. Creative Labs, CD-ROM, Sound Blaster.
Autoexec.bat, do, loop, end.
Yeah. You forgot smoke.exe.
Yeah, there was... I used to do... Remember, you just do a... what is it? Formatting hard drive, and you just tab it across every line that you created it, so it just scroll diagonally across the screen.
I follow a lot of retro computing people on Twitter now. Mostly communicate with them. That's all I do on Twitter these days. And this girl on there is like, yeah, sex is great and all, but have you ever managed to get 600 kilobytes free from emm.386.sys? Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, you had to load highmem.sys.
Yep.
That'd do it. That freed up your
Highmem.sys.
640k because it pushed everything up into RAM instead of ROM.
And then used Terminate and Stay Resident program. Do
TSRs.
you remember them?
Good old,
Wow.
yeah. That's I actually used to like X-Ray Gold for that. It was brilliant because
Yes.
you could do all that stuff at a command level. It was really nice for that
I
sort of
set
thing.
that up on my cousin's computer, just X-Ray Gold as a. It was a great for launching, just launching stuff. Even if you didn't use it to copy,
and you could
just use
you
it
could
for a
set
launch menu.
a custom screen up in X-Ray Gold, so you could actually have it as a games launcher.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all I set it up for.
yep, that's what I did with it. And then when 95 came out, because 95 still ran under DOS, and I had my Pentium, no, my Cyrex 586 DX 166 or whatever it was, couldn't handle playing games under 95, but it could handle 95 and it could handle games since not together. So you could still go in the old days and set the auto accept and stop Windows 95 from booting at the DOS prompt. So it still loaded your auto accept and your config, then it'd drop you to a. You could put a games menu in, or you could go straight to DOS. So mine would boot up, and then it'd have about 5 or 6 games, then it'd have Windows, then DOS.
Yeah.
And everybody used to think that was the coolest thing you could ever do.
And then you had to go to X-Ray Bold.
That was the Windows 95 version, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. That handled 16-bit character lengths. That one did.
Memories, like the corners of
when
mind.
you could actually use like more than 8 character letters for a file name.
PROG tilde1.
Yeah. I used to hate that because Windows, you're trying to back up your Windows 95 and you'd go copy to, this other hard drive, but you're not thinking, instead of using Xcopy 32, you just use Xcopy, so it didn't support long file names. So on the new hard drive, it had prog.1, prog.2. You're like, no! 7 hours I've waited for that to happen.
Delete the whole lot.
Format, start again. Yep. Been there, done that.
Due to US government ban on sales to Huawei, Google revoked its license for popular apps last spring, including Gmail and the Play Store. But this week, Huawei executive Fred Wangfei suggested that even if the ban is listed, Huawei would continue to develop its own app ecosystem instead to avoid the possibility of future political complications. Android authorities suggest Huawei should. Maybe it's time for Huawei to go all in on Harmony OS and do what it can to bring a viable alternative to Android and iOS. If there's any company today that has financial resources and raw talent necessary to bring in a viable third choice for smartphone operating systems, it's Huawei. Sure, it would be a long-term investment and there would be inevitably short-term losses as the company tries to find its footing and develop Harmony OS to have its own identity, but it would prevent something like Huawei ban from happening to the company again, as well as further the company's ambitions as not only a smartphone manufacturer but also as a technology creator. Huawei would have major difficulties in encouraging wide adoption of Harmony OS for one major reason. It's Huawei. The ban exists because the United States government doesn't trust them, and there are numerous yet unproven accusations against the company related to espionage, IP theft, fraud, and even violations of international treaties. Huawei is already in a bad situation. If it's going to need to dig itself out of the hole it's in regardless, why not use this opportunity to turn lemons into lemonade and develop Harmony OS as a viable third option on the way? Maybe the industry needs a shake-up. Maybe a new operating system is just the kind of fire OEMs need to turn the market around. Maybe a real potent threat that billions of people who use Android and iOS might just jump ship to something else would scare companies into taking some real risks. As earlier, there aren't too many companies out there right now that could do this, but Huawei could. In a further article I found, market research firms Canalys and Counterpoint Research have posted their 2019 global smartphone market share reports. Both reports say the biggest mover is Huawei, which, thanks to a whopping 16 to 17% annual growth, claimed the number 2 smartphone vendor spot in 2019 behind Samsung and ahead of Apple. Both firms have similar global market share numbers for 2019, with Samsung around 20%, Huawei at 16%, Apple at 13%, and Xiaomi and Oppo around 8% each. Counterpoint credits Huawei's success in its hometown of China for its success, saying this was the result of an aggressive push from Huawei into the Chinese market, where it achieved almost 40% market share. According to the firm, China makes up 60% of Huawei's shipments.
Yeah, well, it's just interesting. I was just reading an article saying Huawei's Australia regional manager has reportedly indicated that OEM phones will use its own in-house version of the mobile services going forward, never returning the use of the Play Store and never using Android.
Yeah, and
So
apparently they're putting out a bunch of money for try and coax developers to do Harmony OS apps.
yeah, I was just saying that was a story up here. They're engaging in global developers to build apps for them.
Yeah.
So I really don't see how they're going to. You got by the way, there's a way to get around this. You refresh the page, and then just as it loads, you click stop. Which I didn't, because I didn't get it. But yeah, and it doesn't, see, you click stop and then it doesn't know that you've got ad block. Which I normally turn off. I've just forgotten and I ain't doing it now because every page I've got open will suddenly decide to autoplay. But yeah, so I can't really see them going back, honestly. They don't need to. They've got this far. I mean, they were already starting to develop their own software anyway.
I would like to see something different from Apple and iOS.
And yeah,
it's all getting a bit samey. I mean, they get the people like, oh, we've leaked out the Galaxy S20.
Yeah,
it looks and operates pretty much the same way as the last three.
I mean, if you look at some of these screenshots here, these are some of the Harmony
apps.
Yeah, like the layouts and feel and look like this isn't Google. This is all their own stuff.
Oh, all right.
And they're using the full face phones, obviously, with the the only earpieces, the only part cut out. But yeah, so they are. I mean, it's the HMS is made of 14 services, 9 cores, and 5 growth services. They involve an account, which opens the door to the in-app payment system, message push, and other functionality. Scan kit, which supports 13 1 and 2 dimensional barcodes. Oh. NFC, all this sort of stuff. So developers are able to integrate into their own SDK that'll replace the Google SDK. Nice. So they're coming along with it to the point where I really don't see them not doing it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for them to now go, oh yeah, no worries, we'll go back to you, Google. Like that just doesn't doesn't make sense anymore. Like they're so far along, and I mean realistically, I think if you think back to when Google launched Android, it was only ever a platform to build upon. They never really intended Android to be the be-all and end-all of that design. They encourage people to build on it and to expand on it, which is why Samsung brought out their own design for it, and why HTC brought out their own design for it, and because it was really only ever designed as an entry platform that you built upon for your own devices. Yep. But then it became its own thing, which I don't think its original intention wasn't that. So
imagine if Oppo and Xiaomi picked up the Harmony OS from Huawei, that'd just go crazy.
Well, Xiaomi had, before they put Android on their devices, which has only been doing for a couple of years. Prior to that, they had their own. I say their own. It kind of reminded me of the. It was kind of a cross between the BlackBerry and a Nokia interface thing going on. It was cross-moginated sort of deal. It was fine. It wasn't very refined. It was perfectly functional. It was very, very lightweight, which really is what you want. But they've recently started doing obviously high-end phones, so that's sort of
Osmo, the
less of a thing.
Samsungs can do it. It's got built-in decks. You can plug in a keyboard and a mouse, and it boots up the
Yeah,
Linux full
pretty much
desktop.
anything new from the last 2 or 3 years can do that, and some of them even older. It's not that
I
uncommon.
just plugged my phone into my Mac today to see how fast it would charge through the cable, and it pops up, "Hi, would you like to launch Dex?" Now you can just do everything through. No,
Yeah,
I'm just using the charging thing. It's all
and I
right.
mean even a lot
Settle
of
down there, Samsung. You don't have to specify that you want to launch Dex just because I plug a cable into a computer every time.
there's actually an app I run. I'm just trying if I can quickly find it. And it actually does two things. I can use my phone screen as a remote screen over Wi-Fi.
Yep.
So if I've got a tablet or a phone and I want to put it over there and just have a video or something on it or whatever, or use it as reference, I can do that. And at the same time, there's another one that lets me use it as a remote keyboard and mouse over Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah.
So you can do it both ways as well. You can use it as an extension to your PC, or you can use it as its own PC, or you can use it as a standalone thing.
Uh-huh.
I've actually got it set up in my shed so that I take my phone down there, and I've got a OTG hub that I plug in,
Yep.
and it's got a keyboard and mouse, and a really, really crappy old Asus EPC from back in the day, the old Atom 1.2 gig pro, feels like 1.2 meg, 1.2 gig processor, and I run the Wi-Fi app on my phone, and I basically, it literally just becomes the screen, and I use my phone as the power as the workstation.
Yep.
So all the powering processing has been done by my phone, and literally the EPC is just running the program and displaying whatever's on my phone. So
You just need one of those things that uses a laser to project a keyboard onto your desk, and then you can. Have you seen those ones?
that's actually, yeah. I haven't used one, but a mate of mine is a writer, and he always carries one around in his pocket so that when he's at Subway or whatever having lunch and something comes to him, he literally just takes his phone out. He's got a little kickstand on the back of his phone, so it flops out and sits on the desk like that, and then he gets that little Bluetooth keyboard thing and sits it behind his phone and projects it onto the bench at Subway, and he sits there and types away on the bench, and you're just like,
people walking past him go, "What the hell?"
But it's actually
doing?
really bright. Like,
I'm sorry, I used to be a drummer and I got kicked out of the band, and this is all I can do these days.
You're sitting there at Subway. It's pretty bright. Like, they're not dull lights, and you can still see how bright. And I said, "What? How is it done?" He goes, "Well, the earlier ones, and I had one back in 99, 2000, 2001. But back then they were done, they still had a cable connecting them to a PC. And you could type, but it was done with basically LED projections. So it was really, really dull and hard to see. And you could, if you typed across yourself, it would block the keys and it wouldn't know what it's doing. But the one he's got, he said he can type every bit as fast on that as he could type with a regular keyboard.
Yep.
And has absolutely no problems with it at all.
Oh, wow.
So they're actually not bad. If you do a lot of work, they're perfectly fine. Especially if you've got it set up so that if you've got like I was saying, the program I can run on my computer here, I can take my phone to work, bring up my desktop from home, and access it as if I'm using the PC through my phone. Oh, so if I've got a keyboard and mouse set up, I can literally use my home computer from somewhere else in the world via my phone.
Yeah.
So it can be.
It's got such a high resolution. You remember back in the old days when you did remote, and the screen you got was like 640 by 480 on the screen you're looking at, and you have to scroll, drag it down here. Okay, I can see that quarter.
But then to be fast
over
enough.
Here, click on Start Programs. Oh, it's gone across there. Drag across here.
To be fast enough, you had to set it to black and white, 16 colors.
Yeah, tons of compression, and then the mouse was still jerking across the screen.
Yeah,
like
you'd
that.
be trying to catch it because it'd be lag so bad. You're trying to preemptively figure out where it's going to go.
Yeah. No, apparently the Samsung S7 doesn't support DeX. It's a bit too old. Maybe the S8 does.
You don't necessarily need DeX. You can do it with apps. DeX is an all-in-one solution that will do a plug-in solution, but there's plenty of apps that will enable older phones to work to do exactly the same thing. Just you go about it in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
But
Dex is just the built-in Samsung one.
yeah, Dex is the plug and play all-in-one solution, and I believe some of the smart TVs work with that too.
Nice.
From what I was reading the other day, it said one of the smart TVs, like 100-inch Samsung TV, I think it said supported Dex. You imagine plugging your phone in. I mean, okay, your phone's got good resolution on a screen this size, but you plug it into 100-inch, it ain't going to be that great.
You're going to be typing like this. It was a dark and stormy night with 5-foot letters.
Yeah, good for watching, Well, that's the thing, like... I was going to say YouTube.
I don't want to know what you want. Yes.
Well, no, I was going to say YouTube because YouTube only supports like 1080 as its highest resolution. But I'm like, we've got a 60-inch TV, and most of the stuff I watch is only at 720 anyway, and it's perfectly fine. I mean, at what point does the resolution become a bit of a gimmick more so than practical? Yeah. Most TVs 720 is still perfectly fine, and you're hard pressed to notice any difference. In absolute perfect quality, you may get a little bit of an increase into 1080p, but you're not going to notice 4K, and you're not. Your eyes
when I get movies off the internet, obviously purchased from Google Movie Store or the app, I only get 720. It doesn't take up that much hard drive space from your server and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the movies are only released in 720. And they're just upscaled to anyway, and that just kills the quality anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah,
the
720 is good enough for everybody. Bill Gates, 2000s.
No one needs more than 720. The irony of that is that in the old days, all the videos off VHS, if you've ever copied a VHS to computer, the quality's crap. But if you had a proper studio grade VHS machine and copied the data off the VHS, because it's actually stored as digital data and not analog data, even though it is restricted for frame rate and resolution, but the DPI, the quality of that resolution is very, very high. So even though it might only be 360 by, was it 512 by 360 or whatever a TV was? 540 by 360. But it's a very, very high DPI resolution. If you can get an original, a high quality machine that reads the digital output and you actually encode the digital output rather than the analog output, the quality is every bit as good as 720, if not better.
Yeah, that's why the studios can get all the old movies from 20, 50, 40 years ago, and here's your 1080p, here's your 4K version.
Yep, a little bit of a retouch here and there on some stuff.
Yeah.
Unless you do it to the Beatles' White Album, and then all the fans disown you for the rest of your life.
Or if you're George Lucas.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's that. So.
Over to you, Mr. T.
Okay, so Twitter. Now, we've heard about deepfakes. Basically, it's the thing where...
That's my whole life.
Yeah, I know, right? Basically, deepfake is generally real time, not always, sometimes it's pre-recorded, but usually it's a real-time manipulation of the video stream coming in. So
it was actually in a fictional book that I read by Daniel Suarez. They thought they were talking, there was these army guys, and they thought they were talking to their sergeant who's ordering them to do something, and it turned out to be a deepfake video with Vocaloid doing his voice.
Okay. Well, yeah, in a couple of the Neil Stephenson's books, they have what is effectively deepfake as well, or something similar. But yeah, so basically what they do is they usually do it real time, and they take, say, a speech by a president, and then they'll manipulate the face and the words, and then they'll restream that back out, and you're really hard pressed to tell the difference unless you know what you're looking for, because it's such a
it's very high quality and realistic.
Yeah, it's very hard to tell. They only need something like 3 seconds of speech of the original person to be able to emulate it or something.
And even a photo.
Yeah. Well, they can animate a photo to make it look real. Obviously, porn is one of the biggest things. That's how all the celebrities get all these videos released and whatever. But Twitter, in their infinite wisdom, has decided that they'll kill deepfakes. No more. Not allowed to have them. If they discover they're a deepfake, they'll get rid of them. Unless they don't cause any problems, and then they won't worry about it.
Yep.
You know, if it's mass violence or widespread civil unrest or something like that, they'll get rid of it. If it's just somebody completely scamming somebody else and pretending to be somebody else and, committing treason, that's fine. That's okay. It doesn't really matter.
Facebook's going to ban them too.
Yeah, but only if they're harmful.
Yeah.
It's like I don't. Basically, they're calling it manipulated media, so it's not just deep fake stuff. It's the way they call it is in ways that aren't apparent to the average person and would likely mislead someone into thinking the subject of video say words they didn't actually say. The problem I have with that is that's almost every media clip ever released.
Yeah.
The 3 seconds they take from this end of the clip and the 3 seconds they take from this end of the clip and they put them together.
Or just take everything out of context.
Completely change what the original clip was actually saying.
Yeah.
So
reminds you of like when Homer Simpson went on TV and then they filmed all the stuff afterwards and cut it in. He's like, "No, back, Mr. Simpson! No, don't attack me!" Ah!
Yeah, the funniest thing about that was the clock in the background.
Yeah,
if you watch it,
yeah, it's switching back and forth. Yeah. That was when he got the Venus de Milo gummy bear.
Gummy.
Of the babysitter's dress.
The Simpsons did it first.
They did everything first.
But I'm trying to think. Avi, I got a complete blank. There's a guy on. He does a lot of exposés and stuff, but he took a hidden camera into an interview that was being done by the media.
Yep.
And he recorded the whole thing from end to end, and they played their thing on the news like they normally do and manipulated and cut it and edited and everything like that. Even though the contract he signed stated they wouldn't do it. So he had a written contract from the studio saying they wouldn't do it. They still did it. And then he released the...
Jim Jeffries.
No.
Jim Jeffries, the comedian, interviewed a guy.
That's right, he did it as well.
He put the guy who was being interviewed put his phone over the side there and recorded what was happening. And then Jim Jeffries like, "This is what this guy thinks," and played everything out of context. And then he said, "Yeah, would you like to know what I really thought? Here's the actual video from my phone that's not cut or edited."
Yeah, that's right. He did it. It wasn't what I was thinking of, but you're right. He did. I remember that interview. And yeah, he's like, "Yeah, this is what actually happened." And then he gets in trouble because he released unedited footage.
Of himself.
The media outlets basically shut his social media accounts down because he had the hide to release unedited footage. So this whole thing about Twitter and Facebook shutting down deep fakes, and it's like, but they'll shut down legitimate stuff. They have no problem doing that.
What about the rest?
But the fake stuff, they're quite happy to leave there.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, but anyway, but yeah, that's something to be aware of. So, if you see videos on Twitter and Facebook, chances are they're fakes, but at least they're not harmful.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's what I take away from that, anyway.
You might like this one though. General Motors is resurrecting the Hummer.
Yes.
You ever wanted to get a Hummer?
I need an electric one.
That's the best, right? Being known as guzzling military-style SUV, as an all-electric super truck with massive horsepower, acceleration, and torque. The Detroit automaker confirmed the plans and released 3 online teaser videos for the GMC Hummer EV pickup. The Hummer EV pickup, according to GM, will feature 1,000 horsepowers, 0 to 60 miles per hour accelerations of 3 seconds, and 11,500 pound-feet of torque. It didn't announce a price. The Hummer EV pickup is expected to go into production in the fall of 2021 at a plant in Detroit, followed by sales starting towards the end of the year. The teaser videos detail the specifications and preview the front of the pickup, which features a new iteration of Hummer's well-known slotted grille with Hummer backlit across the front of the truck. The GM Hummer EV is expected to be part of a new lineup of all-electric pickups and SUVs for GM that will extend across brands and price ranges. GM President Mark Roos on Monday boldly detailed those plans when he announced plans to invest $3 billion for the production of such vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if it wasn't
And
for
they said that EVs could hardly move very fast or couldn't pull an ant in a trolley.
yeah, that's because they have no idea what they're doing, not because that's an EV statement. That's just a
And then you
general
see
motor
them
statement.
get a Tesla and pull a Boeing 787 or something.
I still love the Cybertruck. I just love it's the most hideous thing known to man. I absolutely love it. You know, if I had a spare,
It's got the design only a mother could love.
well, have you seen the memes going now? They're turning them into Back to the Future Cybertrucks
Right.
because they look like the obviously they kind of look like the DeLorean. So they've actually they've done like a lot of editing and stuff now. And they're actually using the Cybertruck.
It's a deep fake.
No, it's real. It took a lot of effort for them to do it too. So I think it's actually great that they. If Back to the Future was shot today, that's actually probably what they'd use. I reckon. It certainly suits the part.
Wow, that's mad video.
It's pretty cool.
You guys watch it on the YouTubes if you're listening to this on audio, even if you just watch this part.
Yeah, it's
old gas. I have seen photos of some guy's electric vehicle and he's got low gas on the number plate.
Yeah.
88 miles per hour. Great Scott.
So they they need to do a remake now. Just do that. Just change it all out. But I don't know. Look, there are a lot coming out. There's the Tesla one. There's a Hyundai one. There's the one I've got a complete blank of. But there's a Chinese one that's pretty top notch.
Nissan had the Leaf, so they're going to do some more.
Well, look, the whole point that Nissan, who knows what they're doing. Toyota, the whole point they had with the hybrid when they started the Prius and then later on the Camry, now they're doing the Corolla and a couple others. It was originally designed to be a multi-platform, so they could literally take the body off. Like their driveline was independent regardless of what they put it on, so theoretically that could be put into any vehicle.
Right.
The problem is they were a little bit late because they only developed it as far as the hybrid technology, and hybrids don't get the love that they deserve. And honestly, hybrids are a pretty good compromise. Yeah. One, if you can't afford an EV, or if
you're in the middle
too
of
far away,
little sticks and you can't get it plugged in.
So look, they still definitely have their place. The problem is with EV becoming as popular as it is, the hybrid technology has sort of been left to lapse a little bit. But they've still got the platform they can do that with. Yep. Whereas Tesla obviously was built from the ground up to be an EV. Most other manufacturers have put EVs into things, but they've never been things designed for EVs. So therefore, they've never been fast, or they've never been powerful, or they've never had good range because they haven't been designed to do that. And it's only really been the last couple of years. You've got the Ioniq, and you've got the Miev, and you've got the Leaf, and you've got a handful of these actually specifically built EVs that are becoming useful enough that they can be a daily driver. They can do everything you would expect out of a petrol engine, and in a lot of respects they can do more now, especially like the Tesla has the biohazard filters and everything in it so that it can actually filter out. There was a story getting around about a family had the Tesla stuck in the fires and whatever, and because of the biohazard filters, they could sit in the car perfectly happily and sit in the aircon, and they had no issues, no breathing issues or anything because it was all kept out. So, UK is looking at banning petrol vehicles by 2022, I think, or 2028, something like that. Yeah. 2028, I think it is. They're looking at banning petrol vehicles completely from city suburb, and then by 2032 I think they're looking at banning the sale of petrol vehicles altogether.
And and everyone in China's just buying them up.
Oh,
Electric
look, well,
vehicles, they
because they
love
don't
them.
have much of a commute. It's all fairly short distance stuff that they do. And you look
Yeah.
at the sales in a lot of places like Finland and Norway and places like
Not
that.
Australia.
No.
We don't want that kind of stuff over here.
Well, I mean, they're doing pretty good, but the biggest issue is their infrastructure's not set up here yet. But you look at places like Finland and Norway and places like that, and their EVs are actually outselling internal combustion engine vehicles.
No more ice. Ice kills families.
So it's getting to that point. The prices are coming down to where the decision between a normal car or an electric car is not that great now. There's not that much of a difference. For a lower end EV, for the higher end stuff, obviously still a big gap. But, you know, you work on your use case. If you spend 90% of your time driving to work and home, an EV is probably fine. And most people have two cars anyway, so realistically they'd probably have an EV for running around, then they'd have their car if they want to go touring or go for a long drive or, you know. But having said that, you get 600 nearly 1,000 Ks out of the new Tesla in one charge. You're not going to be driving straight anyway. You can't drive for 10 hours straight or 12 hours or 14 hours straight. You're going to have to stop anyway.
Have some lunch, have a pit stop, plug your car in, recharge it for another hour on a quick charge. And
that's it. If you leave home at 100% charge, you drive for 3 hours, you pull over, you go to as soon as you pull over, you plug it in at a fast charge station, you go to the toilet, you grab a drink, you come back, you've probably put, you know, let's say you've used 30%, you probably put 10% of that back in, so you're still at, say, 80 to 85%, where the battery pack slows down the charge anyway, because it only fast charges from about 30% to about 80%, and then above and below that, the charge rate slows down. So then every 3 hours, you're going to stop for same thing, go to the toilet, get a drink, stretch your legs. So you're going to stop for 15, 20 minutes. And in that for 20 minutes, you've put that 30% back in that you've taken out. So realistically, it's cost you like $1 instead of like $85.
A lot of the fast food places are going to have to give up a couple of parking spots just for charging, and they're just going to clean up.
They do, especially in the States. They actually have, so there might
shopping centres do.
Yeah, shopping centres, they'll have an entire row or service stations out the back, or even a lot of the takeaways have, 2 dedicated car parks and stuff like that. And there's so many charge share apps, and the Tesla's got a built-in one. Plus, there's all the other share apps that tell you which ones are available and which ones are taken and what speed they're doing and when they're busy.
When you get 100%, it'll send you a notification, say, please move your car out so somebody else can fill up.
Exactly.
You don't want to leave your drive in there at like 8 in the morning and then spend your whole day there, go to the movies and stuff, and come out at 5 o'clock at night. And
I mean, it depends on how busy the charging station is. If it's a really big station, they really prefer you to move the vehicle within an hour or so of it being charged. Yeah. Technically, you don't have to, and to get around this, Tesla actually charges you a waiting fee. So you get charged. So even with the Teslas that are sold with free charging, because a lot of them are, you can fast charge for free, or you can charge for a lot of places for free. You pay for it when you charge from home. But when you are parked up and the vehicle's then charged, if you stay connected, I think it's more than half an hour after it's fully charged, it will actually charge you a fee. It's basically an incentive to move your car.
I saw somebody had tweeted that to Elon a few years ago, and he said, that's actually a brilliant idea. We're going to add that into our systems. And then within like a week or something, all the charging stations had that feature that if you stay too long, they're going to start charging you, so you need to move.
Yeah. The biggest problem at the moment in terms of the charging side is there is about 4 or 5 common chargers in terms of the actual plugs. Now, there's adapters to plug one charger into a different vehicle with adapters, but that messes up charge rates and can kill efficiencies and can play with different things. They really need to settle on one particular type of plug, or maybe say have 2 different plugs on the car. Have the car's proprietary one where it charges the best, talks to the charger, does everything it's supposed to do. That's the ideal solution. But then have an industry standard generic adapter that you can go to any other station and plug in. And in terms of, it doesn't generally cost a lot. Like even if you're paying full, say you're plugging in from your house, which is about the most expensive power that you can generally buy it. I think to fill a Tesla from empty to full, on an average house socket, which takes like 2 days, mind you, but
Yep.
I think it costs like $4 or something, $4.50, something like that. I think a full fast charge from memory. I don't know about in Australia. I know the fast charges in the States, once you're off the plan, it costs like $1.50 or something to charge from empty to full.
Yeah.
So they're pretty cheap. Australia's probably more because our power is a bit more, but in general, it's still gonna be cheaper than. The one thing that does bug me though, people with EVs, I never need to get my car serviced. That's a load of crap. An EV needs to be serviced every 10,000 k's, the same as a normal car. You have cabin filters, you need brakes that do need to be looked at, make sure there's not rocks and stuff checked in them. You need your tyres, they still need wheel alignments, they still need to have the washer fluid topped up, they still need to have the coolant levels for the battery packs.
And the blinker fluid.
Hopefully you don't have any blinker fluid. They still have this stuff that needs to be done, particularly in the cases of the Tesla, the Model 2s and 3s, or 3s and Xs, I guess. The underbody trays fill up with garbage. You need to take the trays off and clean the stuff out of them so it doesn't interfere with the CV boots and deteriorate the CV boots. So you still need to service an EV. It doesn't cost as much, it doesn't take as long, and the wear and tear and parts are generally a lot less, but you still need to service them. They're still a vehicle, they still are on the road and are susceptible to getting damaged, Like, I've got the Camry Hybrid. It doesn't need servicing much. It just needs an oil change. It's like $80 to do a service on it. But it still needs a service, and it still wears other components on the vehicle that aren't related to the driveline.
And the Tesla Powerwall Osmo is really good. When I was getting my solar battery installed, however, Australia had sold out of them all and weren't getting any for at least a year because they were so
that's because the second one was coming
so
out.
I got the LG Chem, which is fine.
Yeah, when you picked bad timing, because just as you started to get yours done, Telstra had announced their version 2, so they weren't manufacturing any more ones, and they hadn't started manufacturing the 2s.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I got stuck.
But they're good. The 2s are even better, and the new gen they're releasing is better again. But they can do everything from just act as a buffer. They can, if you've got a Tesla, they'll prioritize charge from those into the Tesla. You can even do them as standalone systems. So if you do lose power, they'll actually power your house until the batteries go flat. So there are others like the LG Chem, and there are a few other things that do it. For my money, they are a little bit dearer. The only advantage they definitely have, Tesla no battery technology because they've had so many years and so many hundreds of thousands of miles between their fleet of cars to figure the batteries out. So the chances are you're going to get a better battery life out of them than out of most other ones. And as I said, if you are planning on buying an EV or a Tesla later down the track, they're much more compatible and much happier to feed that. So if you can afford one, definitely go for it. If not, there are cheaper options like the LG Chem, although it wasn't that much cheaper. It was only a couple of $1,000s cheaper, I think.
Yeah.
So
it's just that I could get it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's right.
Over to your next story, sir.
So
how much is a Tesla Powerwall, he wants to know?
I can't remember. It was, I'm trying to remember what it was. Wasn't it? It was like $5,000. That was the first one though. I'm not sure what the price on the second one is. I think originally the first one was like $5,000 and the LG Chem was $3,000 or something. Yep. So it was a little bit dearer. The second one is a little bit dearer, but it's also a higher capacity, so it sort of balances out. So Chrome. Now, Chrome's had this thing where AdBlock is becoming very flaky on it because they're trying their best to break AdBlock for especially their own sites like YouTube and stuff like that. So AdBlock's becoming so-so. But now the irony is, starting August, for some bizarre reason, they're going to be blocking intrusive video ads.
Nice.
Last I checked, they were the cause of most of the intrusive video ads.
Isn't it ironic, don't you think?
Because if you
read ironic?
If you go to of course I picked two stories that don't have one, but if you go to an ad that especially an autoplay ad, and click on it, and you follow the source, chances are it's hosted on YouTube.
Yeah.
So they don't want you to run ad block on YouTube videos, and they're actually making it harder and harder for the ad block companies to make that function work in Chrome. And in Canary, even more so, the 64-bit one, the ad blocks are really broken in that. Yet they want to initiate an ad block for video ads that they've hosted on their own site that they don't want you to run an ad block for. That sound about right?
Sounds good.
But yeah, so they're saying that basically there's a coalition for better ads known as the CBA, or Commonwealth Bank of Australia if you're in Australia. The industry group dedicated to improving the state of online ads announced today new rules for displayed with short-term videos under 8 minutes. Google, one of the CBA's founding members, has announced plans to implement the upcoming rules inside its products such as the Chrome web browser, advertising platform, and YouTube. Starting on August 5th, 2020, Google's Chrome will use its internal ad blocker capabilities to block all video ads that don't adhere to these new rules. Video ads running through Google Ad Platform and those on YouTube will also be made compliant in the upcoming months. Google will scan websites, and if those websites are associated with a Google Search Console account, it will notify webmasters if their videos break the new rules. So 3 new undesirable ad formats as described by the coalition. Long pre-roll ads that can't be skipped, so YouTube. Mid-roll ads is a video experience plays in the middle of a video, interrupting the content. Mid-roll ads come in many varieties and durations, but all were deemed extremely annoying and interruptive by consumers. YouTube. And large display ads that block the video player. This refers to an image or text that appears on top of a video and are in the middle, third, or center of the video player window and cover more than 20% of the video content. Okay, not YouTube, but, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
That's what they say.
The CBA said it reached a conclusion these 3 video ad formats are intrusive. So nothing said about autoplay ads, I noticed. Or autoplay videos on websites.
How about that?
But here's the kicker. The rules don't apply to videos longer than 8 minutes. So, effectively, unless you've got like a 5-minute video that autoplays on a website about something that you can't put an ad on, every other video is going to have these things anyway. Like, you look at the length of videos on YouTube, and I know why they've chosen 8 minutes, because like something like 90% of videos on YouTube are 10 minutes or longer.
Yeah.
So that's why they've chosen the 8 minutes, because it's not going to affect many of their, So, who knows what they're doing. But yeah, so basically, Chrome's got an integrated. It actually currently has it. It's useless, but it has an integrated ad blocker that doesn't do anything except pop up occasionally and go, "Hey, there's an ad. We're going to play it, but we just thought we'd let you know there's an ad."
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for that. So if you want integrated, like I use what do I use? I use AdBlock, ADBLOCK. There is a couple that look very similar and they have very similar icons. AdBlock
with the red hand.
Yeah, AdBlock actually works. There's one called, I think, AdBlocker, and it's like almost exactly the same icon, but it's like a square instead of a stop sign, I think. Yeah. It doesn't work. No. But AdBlock, yeah, that one. It's called AdBlock, the best ad blocker. That this one actually works pretty well, and I found it to work in most situations. It actually works out well, and I've even chucked them a few bucks. When you install it, they ask, "Hey, can you chuck us a couple of bucks?" So I actually have.
Why not?
But see, it's the list of stuff it's not seeing is slowly getting longer. Like unobtrusive ads aren't being blocked anymore. Stuff like that. So even it's starting to have to fall into line somewhat.
Yeah.
So, but
good software. Highly recommended.
I
also have Privacy
Firefox?
Badger.
Is it Firefox or Opera that has a built-in? I think it's Firefox, isn't it? Has a built-in. Yeah, it is. Firefox has a built-in ad block as well. and Opera has a built-in VPN. So they've all got some benefits going for them,
Yep. This is my last one. A German artist illustrated how it's possible to create a virtual traffic jam in Google Maps
Oh, yeah.
by walking around the streets of Berlin with 99 cell phones. Google Maps utilizes GPS and location data from mobile devices to determine if there's traffic congestion on a particular street. The app will then redirect users to less trafficked streets to avoid traffic. Using a handcart filled with 99 active cell phones connected to Google Maps, artist Simon Weckert showed how he could create fake traffic jams in Google Maps simply by walking around the streets of Berlin. As he would be walking rather than driving, Google Maps would perceive it to be a traffic jam due to a large number of devices reporting the same slow speed. With so many users relying on Waze and Google Maps for driving directions, this hack illustrates how data being fed into mapping programs can be manipulated to force apps to recommend different driving routes. So if you got your street and too many hoons and people go down there, just get 99 phones and stick them in a mailbox, and
Yeah, no,
Google will
not.
reroute people around it.
See, here's the issue with this. It doesn't really work, and I'll explain why. Because of the way Google Maps works, it takes the aggregate data of all the phones that are traveling down that stretch of road. So you might have 100 phones that are saying that there's a traffic jam there. The problem is that doesn't mesh with their like, so they look at the history of the area, they look at the projected data, they look at current data, they look at
History of the accounts on those
accounts
phones.
on the phones as well. And so if they suddenly see 100 phones on a street and that's the only place they've been, they disregard that data. So whilst it might work for an hour, it will work for a little bit, but then the system will figure out that there's something wrong there. And it's the only thing that actually, the irony to that statement, what it actually does is it actually helps them. The only thing he's really helped them do is actually map because of all the GPS data available, they could specifically make sure that the road is actually 100% mapped correctly.
Yep.
So as they say, like there's actually a few clarifications that Google has actually come out with about that. And there's even things like he's even saying things like you're not only going to have 99 phones, you're going to have 99 SIM cards to go on those 99 phones, because they all require SIM data, because that's not going to fly if you're using local Wi-Fi. It's going to see it all coming from the same point. So you have to have separate, and then you're going to have them provisioned over an extended period of time, over like 12 months, so that you don't see all these phones being provisioned at the same time. There's so many reasons why that just doesn't work. Waze, before Google Maps was actually useful, Waze was quite popular. And they figured out they could do the same thing with that. And a lot of there was actually a traffic company, I believe it was in like Sydney or Melbourne. But anyway, there's a traffic control company, and they figured out that they could mount a whole heap of. They weren't using phones though; they were using. They're called mushroom routers. They're basically routers that have a heap of SIM cards in them and whatever, but they were using those and tethered or however they work. But they were doing the same thing. They were mounting them and they were putting them on their rollers and their excavators and all the slow-moving vehicles. And they're having them just working on the construction side. So if they're working on a stretch of highway, for example, Waze would show that the highway is congested and the traffic's not moving because they've got them on all the earth equipment that's really slow moving.
So they go around.
Yeah. But they eventually figured that out, and they worked out that was the thing that they were doing, and they got over that as well. But
sounds like a good use case, though.
Yeah, that's it. Make the traffic slow down, or be prepared to slow down. Actually, apparently Waze has that feature. I don't know if Google Maps does, and it may be something they might want to look at. But apparently, in Waze, you can actually you can actually send a request to say, on this date, we're doing roadworks between here and here, and on Waze it will actually show up as proposed roadworks before it actually
That's
happens.
handy.
So that's pretty cool.
I don't know why they don't just put it all into the one thing now, because Google owned Waze years ago.
I know. I never understood that. They're basically the same company, but they have two entirely separate departments.
But how do they have different data? Because when I was on holidays at Christmas time, I was staying at a motel in Goulburn, and I used Waze and I type in the address, and it's like, well, I'll take you somewhere along that street where the motel is. Good luck. And so I got to the street and I had to stop the car and switch over to Google Maps and put in the exact same address. And it's like, oh, you passed it back there 2 kilometers, turn around and go back to the motel. But Waze did not know that, even though it should be the same data from the same company.
I know. I think it goes back to the way they were founded. Originally, Waze was purely community sourced. So if somebody
street maps,
if somebody says, like, so they put in and I've noticed, especially on bigger places, like you go to say Bunnings, for example, and you say Bunnings, West Ipswich, and Waze puts the entrance where the entrance actually is, which is off a side street and around the corner. That's actually how you get in. But when you use Google Maps, it puts the entrance to the front of the store, which is what the address of the store is, but that's not the entrance to the building. So I think it comes back to how it's mapped. Like Waze started off as community mapping. And so when people were saying this is Bunnings, that's how you would have got into Bunnings. So this is us saying the entrance to Bunnings, even though technically it's not actually the entrance. It's just the back of the driveway that gets you in there. So I think that's where the discrepancies come about.
For places like restaurants and pubs where the front is here, you're traveling this way on the opposite side of the road, and the maps say, okay, turn here, go up there, now turn left, go up there, turn left. Okay, you do like go around the whole block so that you can be out the front of the shop. You're like, I could have parked across the road if I had known that the shop was going to be there.
Yeah.
You just took me around the block for an extra kilometre of driving for no reason.
I'll show you if I can get Google Maps to load up Street View. I'll show you one that catches a lot of people out. Now there's where are we? So this is obviously Google Maps. This is the centre of Ipswich. Now there's a McDonald's. You can just see the sign. Where is it? Oops. You can sort of see the sign up there and over there. So this is Ipswich basically has two streets, one heading east-west, or one heading west and one heading east. So this is heading east back in towards Ipswich, towards Brisbane. If you kept going that way, you'd end up in Brisbane. But McDonald's is over there, which is on the outgoing road, which goes up the hill. But unless you're a local, you would not know that there's a back entry to McDonald's there. Now, Waze picks that up.
Right.
It tells you to basically, so as you're coming down the street here, it basically tells you at the end of this car yard, turn right at the end of the car yard.
Yep.
Now, you can't see the sign from here.
No.
You can't.
That blue car parked in front of it. Man.
You can't see the sign. No, this sign's behind the fence line. You can't see this sign until you're here. But Google Maps, the only way you can get in is to go all the way around the block, which is way down here, go back way up here and come back around the block again. So that's the difference. Google Maps shows you the address, which is technically correct because that's the address.
It's not where you want to go.
But that's not where I want to go. I want to go in, and Waze shows me how to go in. So I think that, better. I think that's a good example of the two different technologies. Now, they need that in Google Maps because, as you say, half the time, or even to say, okay, are you going there or are you dropping something off? Because that's two entirely separate places. Yep. If you want to drop something off, you want to be down here. If you're actually going there, you want to be over here.
Yep. As you can see, there can be a huge difference as where those two places are.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And especially delivering batteries and doing stuff like that. Car parks is another one. You'll go to a secure car park. A secure car park, especially like the Mater Hospital, there's actually 3 streets, and each street actually progresses up the hill. So you can be on ground level, you can be on level 2 or level 4, depending on what street you come in from.
Yeah.
But Google Maps only gives you this main entrance because that's the technical address of the car park.
Yeah.
95. In fact, I don't think I have ever actually had a cause to go into that entrance. I think every single time I've been there, I've actually had to go into a different entrance. It's just.
I'll have to test that with our shopping centres here, where there are multiple ways of coming in, and see which ways in Google Maps is where you should go.
The worst part is once you get into the shopping centre, they don't work because it's undercover. Although even the tunnels they build here,
yep.
They have, as you're coming into the tunnel, the GPS says, in 2Ks or whatever, turn left. Once you get into the tunnel, the GPS doesn't know how far 2Ks is, so it freaks out and turns off. And then the left turn you actually don't want because that goes somewhere completely different. And then it turns out the next one, the actual whole tunnel actually turns left, and you wanted to stay left, but you actually want to turn right because that's where you wanted to be. But you don't know this because your GPS doesn't work underground, and the signs are about this big that you're going past, and it's like...
I've only seen one. It might have been the Garmin movie that I had. I can't remember now. Only one dedicated GPS device. As soon as it detected it lost the signal because you're in a tunnel, which it knew, it switched to turns mode and showed you in 100 meters do this turn, then do that turn, then do that turn. So you could see a list of what you would have to do. If it couldn't track you through there, you could see on the list, well, okay, 100 meters from where it lost the signal, I need to go into this lane, and then I need to turn up there, and then turn right, and then come out here, and then I get the signal again.
Okay,
all the other ones just go, well, I don't know what the hell's going on. There's no signal here, so good luck, I guess.
That's actually a really good idea. More of them need to do that. And you can actually do that with, well, you can't now because you can't touch your phone in the car. But you can actually do that on Google Maps. You can switch it over to turn by turn. But yeah, that makes sense. And it estimates the distance that you've got left to travel. But if you're not traveling at exactly the speed, it's not going to be right.
Get a bit of a traffic jam and you're screwed, son.
Yeah, that's it. So...
Any more from you? I think we're about done.
I got a few more, but that's pretty much it. Basically, there's an article here saying that people are finally starting to abandon Windows 7, and by abandon, we mean it's in the last quarter it dropped from 4.6% to 4.4%. They're clearly abandoning it in droves.
Everybody gone now. Everybody.
They still say that between 75 and 79% of PCs are still running Windows 7.
Wow.
So yeah.
How many are running XP? Come on.
It doesn't say in this article, but it's surprising a lot. I remember I looked it up a few months ago, and it was actually there's still systems running like Windows
ATMs,
like Windows 95. Well, Windows PE, which is a copy of XP. So all the embedded stuff is all XP. So most of those, either that or Linux. A lot of the... Not that you see too many internet kiosks anymore, but a lot of those are all embedded stuff. There's only one still around that I know of. I saw a payphone the other day.
With Superman in it?
It's like I felt like stopping out and taking a photo of it. I'm like, wow.
All the ones I see around have been turned into Wi-Fi hotspots.
Yeah, well, there's one that where my sister lives out west of Gympie. And it's a payphone and a Wi-Fi hotspot. It's satellite connection because it's in the middle of nowhere. So it's solar powered. It's a solar powered, satellite driven Wi-Fi telephone.
Nice.
So it's got it all going on.
All the things. That's it from you.
That'll do.
All right. Thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Heads show, broadcast weekly. We can be found at facebook.com/Aussie Tech Heads, twitter.com/Aussie Tech Heads, and youtube.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Email us Glenn, Will, and Warlock at aussietechheads.com.au. You can hear Aussie Tech Heads on aussietechradio.com, 24/7 back-to-back play of some of the best tech-related shows from around Australia and New Zealand. New shows are added each Friday. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
You will. See ya. Bye.
Bye.